All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the Indian legislature. The best way to think about Parliament is like it's the core operating system for India's democracy. It's where all the country's code, our laws, gets written, debugged, and finally executed. So, let's boot up this system briefing and see how it all works. So, first things first, to really get a handle on how this whole system works, where do you even start? Well, you've got to begin with its core functions. Think of it as looking at the system's basic programming, the stuff that's hardwired right into the Constitution. Okay, so let's break these down. First up, the big one, the legislative function. I mean, that's its main job, right? Making laws for the entire country. Then you've got the financial function, and this one is huge. It's all about controlling the money, the nation's wallet. Of course, a massive part of its job is keeping the government in check, and that's the control of the executive. It also provides representation, making sure different voices from all over the country are heard. It's our biggest national debating forum. It even has the power to change its own source code, the constituent function, to amend the Constitution. And finally, its judicial functions, which let it handle the removal of some very high-ranking officials. Every single one of these is a critical module in the system. Now, if Parliament is the operating system, it's running on a kind of dual-core processor. You've got two main units working together, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So the obvious next question is, how do they split the workload? Let's run a quick power analysis and compare the two. So if you look at how this power is split, you'll notice right away, it's not a 50-50 deal. Sure, on some things, like amending the Constitution, they're pretty much on equal footing. But then you get to the really critical stuff. Take executive control. Only the Lok Sabha can actually bring down the government with a no-confidence motion. That's a massive power. And when it comes to money, wow, the Lok Sabha pretty much holds all the cards. So what does this mean in the real world? It means any big promise a government makes, building new highways, funding hospitals, anything, it all lives or dies based on the Lok Sabha's approval. That's not just power on paper, that's the real deal. Okay, so we've seen they're not identical twins. They share a lot of jobs, for sure, but each house also has its own unique, special powers. These are the things that really define their individual roles in the system. Let's zoom in on those for a second. Let's start with the Rajya Sabha. Its special power is actually hidden in plain sight, right there in its name, the Council of States. Its whole purpose is to be a voice, a protector for the interests of the states. It has this really unique ability to pass a resolution that basically says, hey, Union Parliament, this issue is normally a state matter, but it's become so important that we're giving you permission to make a national law on it. It's a fantastic example of our federal system in action. Now, let's flip over to the Lok Sabha. Its special power comes from a totally different place. Its direct link to us, the people. Remember how the government, the Council of Ministers, is responsible to the Lok Sabha? Well, because of that direct accountability, it gets the ultimate say over the nation's finances. You could say it holds the keys to the treasury. And that direct democratic link is what gives it so much clout in day-to-day politics. And if you were looking for the exact line of code in the Constitution that makes this happen, well, here it is. Article 109. It could not be clearer. A money bill shall not be introduced in the Council of States. That one sentence, right there, is the bedrock. It's what gives the Lok Sabha all that financial muscle we were just talking about. All right, so we've looked at the individual components of the machine. Now, let's see how the whole assembly line works together. We're going to follow the entire legislative blueprint, tracing the exact path a proposal takes to become an actual law. But before we do that, there's a quick thing you need to know. Not all bills are created equal. You've basically got two flavors. First, there are government bills. A minister introduces these, they've got the full weight of the government behind them, and yeah, they're much, much more likely to pass. Then you have private members' bills. Any MP who isn't a minister can propose one. They're great for bringing up important issues, but let's be honest, without the government's support, their chances of becoming law are pretty slim. So here we go. Let's follow a typical non-money bill on its journey. It can start in either the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. It doesn't really matter. First step is the introduction. From there, it often gets sent to a committee. Now, this is a super important step. It's where experts dig into all the details. You could call it the quality control check. Once the committee sends back its report, the bill returns to the main floor for a full-on debate and a vote. If it gets a yes, great, but it's not done. It then has to travel all the way over to the other house and do the whole dance all over again. Now, what if they can't agree? Well, there's a solution for that, a joint session where they try to hammer out their differences. And only after both houses have passed the exact same version does it go to the final checkpoint, the president's desk. Once the president gives their approval or assent, boom, it is officially a law. Okay, let's move on to the last major piece of this puzzle, and this one is absolutely critical. It's how Parliament keeps the government accountable. You can think of this as the entire system's built-in firewall.
So, how does this firewall actually work? Well, Parliament has several powerful tools in its toolkit. First, you've just got simple debate and discussion. Don't underestimate this. Things like question hour, where ministers have to stand up and answer tough questions. That's a huge deal for accountability. Next, the approval of laws. The government can't just do whatever it wants. It needs Parliament to sign off on its plans. Then there's the one we keep coming back to, financial control, the ultimate power of the purse. No money gets spent without Parliament's permission, period. And finally, you've got the big red button, the no confidence motion. This is the ultimate check. If the Lok Sabha decides it no longer has faith in the government, it can vote them right out of office. It doesn't get more direct than that.
And that brings our system analysis to a close. We've run through the core functions, we've compared the power of the two houses, we've traced how a law gets made, and we've looked at those all-important checks on the executive. Now, this briefing was really focused on the machinery, the powers and procedures. But that's only part of the story. To get the full picture on how Parliament actually represents people and serves as that great national stage for debate, you'll definitely want to check out the other explainers we have on this chapter.